Welcome back to the Dota Radio Morning Show, presented by Dota Radio, the internet radio dedicated to Dota 2. Make sure you visit us at dotaradio.com to learn more about our audio-only style of commentary, though we're not really casting much these days. Remember to tweet at us during the show, guys, at the Dota Radio, at Zyori TV, at Monolith Dota, and at Hippie Casting. We are back with the usual suspects, finally back in the swing of things here on the morning show. It is Wednesday, December 4th. Almost on time, starting a little early today. I'm Zyori, your show host. We've got Hippie here on the analysis desk. Chris, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. Good as usual.
Yes, that's the spirit. Positive as always. Monolith, friend, how are you? I hear you have a new microphone, and you sounded okay. Pretty solid.
I do. I still hate things, though.
I still hate things. I'm grumpy. It's early. You make me get up so early. But we're back nonetheless here, guys. Oh. Make sure you check us out, dotaradio.com/morning show, and of course, email into the show, morningshow@dotaradio.com. Thoughts, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. So we got a lot of catching up to do today, guys. Opening thoughts here. We have, it's really been a couple of we've had a long break here. In the last episode, of course, we were supposed to have Fogged on. It was going to be a weird episode at 4 o'clock. I was having connection issues. Don't worry. The Comcast guy came out. We abused him. He rewired my entire house. He was here for 2 hours. We didn't pay him a dime. Is it appropriate to tip Comcast guys? Because I felt like I wanted to tip him, but he told me it was free, so I wasn't about to slip him a 20. But, oh boy, did he do some dirty work. My internet faster than ever, and we're in good shape. We're now streaming in 40 frames per second instead of 30. Tweaked the bit rate a little bit, so slightly more efficient, slightly higher quality here on the morning show. A little bit exciting. We did miss the DreamHack episode, though. We're not going to talk about DreamHack much here. I think it's already been covered. If you don't know that Navi won, you obviously don't care, so we're not going to harp on it too much. That was one of our big talking points in the last episode. And Fogged, we're going to use for the future. He's one of those West Coasters, so kind of tricky to get him on because he has to get up at like 7 in the morning just to talk to us for a little bit. So may have Fogged on in the future. I know at least one person tweeted at me with disappointment that one of his favorite players was going to be on, and then we teased him, and then we didn't have him on. So sorry about that, my friend. Also, the Diablo 2 ladder reset. Been playing that a little bit. Fellas, huh? Hippie, you want to play some Diablo 2 after the show?
No. Path of Exile.
You're a disgusting person.
Who, me or him?
Him!
You want to play,
Hey,
Charlie?
Diablo 2 is a good game, but come play Path of Exile.
It's pretty rough,
No,
man.
no.
The bots are still, like, they own everything. It's terrible. No me gusta.
Oh, God.
But if you want to play, I tweeted about it last night. If you want to play, hit me up. US East ladder, softcore, ready for it. So, all right, guys. First topic of news. I couldn't. What would it be without a little talk about Grant here? He's making headlines again. How much is too much? That's really what we're going to get at here. This is the screenshot that someone posted, much to their dismay of Grant's behavior. I believe the title of the Reddit thread was something to the tune of Neo/Grant, get your shit together. This is not okay. If you can't read it, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit for you because I'm not going to say it out loud. I don't know, fellas, thoughts? Is this just NA Dota at its finest? This is what they do. Get over it. If you don't like it, don't read it. Is there a line, and have they/he crossed it? Thoughts?
I mean, on the one hand, it's Grant. What are you expecting? It's just what he does, and I know theoretically he's not somebody who speaks for Neo Dota or who is supposed to represent Neo Dota, but at the same time, if you're having him do some of your casting, if you're letting him tag up with your name, you do have to worry about what he does to your image. And you know, for all that people say, oh, you know, don't worry, it's just NA Dota, they're a bunch of trolls. When you have something as public as this, where anyone who sees the replay can see it, I think it is going to become a little bit of an issue for them in terms of just a public image thing. And it's on Reddit.
Yeah.
Which means everyone's seen it now. Top post on Reddit right now.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's one thing for Grant to tweet something offensive like that or put it on his Facebook, but to be like a caster under the Neo Dota tag, I mean, I would be a little concerned. There's a difference there in terms of visibility, perhaps. So I don't know. I don't want to pick on Grant. He seems like a nice guy. One of our mods actually went to high school with him, believe it or not. So I know. I don't know. I just food for thought. That's one of the things that makes me a little nervous about doing stuff with NA Dota, though. You know, we saw Spitwad. He wants me to host Mad. I get a little nervous when I see stuff like that. You know, that just makes me a little I don't feel okay inside when I see stuff like that. So not going to harp on it too much. Let's move forward. The bigger headline today: Blitz's team is in peril following their first round loss in NSL Season 2. Very unfortunate. Bad batch of RNG that he got matched up against a Demons team. So we had a very titillating first match. Of course, the FOU versus MVP. And MVP did win 2-0. Spoiler alert here as we're looking at the brackets. That Jimmy game, though, Monolith, looking good. Some awesome Shadow Fiend action. Poor Blitz, though. I really feel for him. Of course, the drama right now with Blitz, he posted his blog. If you didn't read it, I would recommend checking it out. I'll drop a link in chat right now because it is it's not a good read, but it gives you some insight as to what's going on. Basically, they lost in the first round. Febby, who I guess was their team captain, the guy that sort of instilled all of the excitement, faith, confidence into Blitz to move to Korea and, kind of commit to this and pay on his own dime, left the team like 4 hours after they lost in the first round. And now Blitz is there stuck with 4 people, not a Dota team, doesn't know what to do, and is completely just devastated. Charlie, what do you got here?
I think someone's mentioned this before, but this is probably the best thing that could have happened for Blitz if it happened this early. I mean, Febby obviously wasn't committed to the team. He wasn't even playing that well, to be honest. So his trip to Korea isn't just 1 month. It's not just for Season 2. He's going to be there for longer. So to have Febby leave at the onset is probably the best thing that could have happened for his team. So
that is a good point.
So, I mean, it sucks. It sucks that this happened. It sucks that he came over with... I mean, everyone had reasonably high expectations for Blitz and his team going in. Like, before Demon came over, he was probably the best player there, and he probably could have carried the hell out of his team, probably to a victory. But, I mean, it's unfortunate that with Demon's arrival, he probably got matched up against the best team in the first round, which I don't know exactly how that happens.
Yeah.
But either way, you have to look at the silver lining of things.
Yeah. I think you're right that if this was going to happen, now is a time to make it happen. But the more devastating part of this story isn't as much that they lost in round 1, isn't as much that, they got matched up in Demon. That's a little bit unlucky, and that kind of stuff happens in competitive competition just in general. But what really was the heartbreaking part is that, like I mentioned, Febby was the one that really, brought Blitz over. He was the one, as Blitz talks about in the blog, that Febby was the one that really he was the captain. He kind of brought the team together. They were really good friends, and he felt like that this was going to be a really serious thing that they were really dedicated to. And it turns out, basically, all of that was bullshit. He thought Febby was his friend, and as it turns out, Febby had been planning on leaving for a while. As soon as the team lost, he was going to make his exodus. It just so happened that it was in the first round this time. He was not planning on staying around the team for a long time. He was already working with other teams. So I think Blitz just felt completely blindsided by someone who he thought was his friend that really was just operating under the fullest extent of greed, I think one can imagine. So very, very devastating. Is there any update from Blitz on what the next plan is? Of course, they can try and find a fifth and continue playing on. I think the other 3 members of the roster are pretty stable for now, but has there been any leeway on that front, Charlie?
I think Blitz is just going to probably try and find a fifth.
Yeah.
There are options. He can try and get Solara again. See if they can give him a better deal and have him come to Korea. Mm-hmm. Somebody mentioned Karn. It's not like... I don't think he'll be lacking for players, and he has a month to find somebody. So
right before the next season, yeah. So they have some time. It's just hard right now. It's also hard being in a place that's new. He's American. He is American, right? He's not Canadian. I don't know where Blitz is from.
Yeah. He is American.
He's American. That's right. So it's hard being in another country like that, and then having this stuff happen. It's a lot of culture shock happens anyway. So it's rough. I feel bad for the guy. Hopefully things work out well for him. we'll see if there's more news on that front. Of course, we will cover it. So, all right, let's move forward here. We have a lot of news points we got to hit, and we are on a schedule now. Now that I'm casting Star Ladder on BTS, we got to move on through. We got to be done by 10:50. That is our absolute limit. So, yeah, we're going to cruise through stuff a little more quickly here. Team Poseidon pulling the roster shuffles, and we got to see their debut yesterday in Star Ladder with their new roster. They've got Dread. I don't have their roster up. What am I doing with my life here? Chris, do you know what can you remember off the top of your head what their new roster is? It's Nexus, Dread, Solo.
Nexus, Dread, Solo, Tame My Wild, KSI.
Yes, that's it. You nailed it, my friend.
We just watched them.
I know, but I do a lot of things. I don't know. I can't remember.
Disband.
Dread is the one that I
Disband.
remember. So, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. You see names like that, and you kind of think to yourself, wow, this is a scary roster. What are we going to... Yeah, here it is. I finally pulled it up. What are we going to do here? This is scary. No, this isn't right. This is the old one. This is... Son of a bitch. All right, well, anyway, the big highlight is Dread, who was... he's a popular Russian streamer, of course. So has a lot of viewers. I've been told that if you understand Russian, he's really smart and clever and funny, and that's why everybody loves him. I don't know. I assume it's true. But he was retired as a competitive player, kind of came out of retirement for this this new roster here for Poseidon. And yesterday their performance was, what's the word I'm looking for here, Chris? Subpar, I think. It was a pretty one-sided match, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, it was one game. It was, I believe, their first game they played with the new roster in Star Ladder. It wouldn't really surprise me if they hadn't played. I mean, not like their first game, but their first real match.
Yep.
And you know, they were up against not only a strong team that's coming off a good showing in Sigma. It was Sigma, right? I'm not mistaken.
I was just about to pull it up.
I'm fairly sure it was Sigma because it was the game with the contested tri-lane where they just they didn't. I felt so they contested a tri-lane I didn't think they should contest, and it just kind of spiraled out of control from the laning phase for them. So I'm not really sure we can judge off that because I think that's more one bad early game decision to kind of stick in that lane and really punish them a lot harder than they thought it would. So we can't judge quite how good they are off that game. We need to give them more time. But I won't disagree. I was expecting a little more from their first game, and I was a little disappointed.
Yes, that is a nice, well-rounded way to talk about it. And of course, like you said, Sigma is a rough first opponent. For your first time in the limelight, I would not want to play against Sigma. They're very strong, and they're that wild card team. You know, they like to do some different stuff with their drafts. They like to do things a little bit differently. So they're a hard first opponent. As I've heard some commentators say, Sigma is a great best of one team because you really don't know what's coming, and they tend to catch you off guard. In a best of 3, best of 5, it's a little bit easier to get a read on their draft style after game 1, and they don't tend to fare as well in BO3s as they do in BO1s. So we'll keep an eye out for Poseidon, see how they fare. Of course, they are in Star Ladder, so hopefully they can hold their roster together. The CIS scene seems to rotate those rosters pretty quickly. They rotate around quite a bit. On that same note, Veritas Pro going to have some issues as well. They're going to lose NS and Blow Your Brain from their roster, and NS was their captain, so that hurts a little bit. And I think Veritas Pro is still trying to figure out what they're going to do right now. The only folks listed on their official roster are Light of Heaven, God, and Arzart right now. So 3 great core individuals for a team, but it seems like these players, especially these 3 in particular, we've seen them just shuffling around teams and trying to find that sweet spot of who they work well with, but unfortunately they haven't been able to get there quite yet. I would venture to say they just need to hang in there a little bit longer, practice a little harder as a 5-man unit, but that's just me.
Well, I think the synergy never really came out from the Veritas Pro squad, in my opinion. They were, they had 5 incredible star players, and, this got mentioned a million times over, but they just never quite hit the tarmac the way we all expected them to. So maybe a shuffle is exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to get, they need to get some fresh blood in there. They need to get somebody who gels better with the team. I remember Blow Your Brain was standing in for someone as the Resistance. I can't remember who it was, but he's still playing in the
CIS writing
CIS.
Stuff down. I don't remember anything. Yeah, he has been standing in, and I want to say it was next KZ. That's my best guess, but I'm not
I don't
sure.
think so. It was the first game you and LD casted. He was on Radiant's side.
First game LD and I casted. That was Flipside. Flipside RU.
All right, so Flipside then.
Okay.
So that's who he was standing in for. But just in general, I think the CIS scene is trying to get their TI4 rosters ready to go so they can actually start working for qualification. But some teams have decided they don't feel comfortable with who they have and they need to switch people out. And I don't blame them. I mean, you got to be prepped for TI4 and you have to have your rosters locked in months ahead of time to give you plenty of time to practice.
That's true.
So if you've kind of let things run for a few months, like VP has, and it doesn't seem to be working out, make a change. Be bold.
That's a good point. Of all the times to shuffle rosters, now is a good time because we're still pretty far away from TI3 and it's not quite crunch time yet. So that is a fair point. Chris with the knowledge, dropping the knowledge bombs on us here. So we'll keep an eye out, and not uncommon for those roster changes in CIS, but I'd love to see some of them just settle down sooner rather than later so we can build some of that brand idea. That's part of the reason why I have trouble remembering who's on which teams. I know the players, but they rotate around so quick. I'm like, which team? Is this Veritas Pro? Is this Rock's Kiss? I don't really know who's who. So it all runs together, man. I don't know. It's rough.
Got to keep up, man. You're casting Star Ladder again.
I know. It's embarrassing. Every time I go, I've seen this guy. He was on... Fuck, I don't
Every other team.
Yeah, he was on every other team. I still, as a caster, my biggest bane is resisting the urge to just not look like a total dumbass. When I don't know something, I'm one of those guys that I don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, sure, let's put it out in the open. I don't know, you don't know, maybe we could learn together. And that always seems to backfire. Instead it turns into, you're a fucking moron, kill yourself and get off this stream, you idiot. Like, why don't you play more Dota? You're only level 24. It's like, damn it, I was just trying to be honest. That whole SNY thing yesterday really...
Oh, yeah, I messed that one up good.
That was a big blow to my morale, man.
Why did you drop that on me in front of 9,500 people and let me screw that up?
I had honestly no
not even
idea.
Ours.
I had absolutely no idea. Its name is still in yellow. I look at shit like that. I'm like, it's yellow. It must be an orb. Oh, wait. It hasn't been an orb for like a year and a half.
0.72.
God, man. I mean, it's also an item that I never buy when I play. I don't like it. And people rarely ever buy it in competitive. Good. Yeah, there are several items that are low on my radar, where the mechanics are just not fresh because we don't see them, we don't talk about them, and I don't know. Still, it's probably common knowledge, but that shit really drove me crazy. That was just so embarrassing, and like, why couldn't we have done that on the Dota radio stream in front of like 300 viewers instead of on BTS in front of 12,000? You know what I mean? That's what really chapped my ass about the whole thing, but such is life. So on the note
still buy SNY.
Huh? What's that?
Sorry. People still buy SNY competitively.
Yeah, sometimes.
They do. It's just, it's certainly not the most common.
Yeah. So, all right, on the note of tournaments here, Fragbite Masters Finals taking place today and tomorrow, December 4th and 5th. Part of the reason why we don't have a competitive player on today, we got Brohard coming on to talk about some really interesting stuff. She is a host for Curse, but unfortunately most of the players were really busy today preparing for this big old tournament here, and it should be an interesting tournament. The finals will be tomorrow, and I don't see the prize pool on this little overlay here, but I think it's pretty hefty. Do you guys, either of you know off the top of your noggins what the prize pool is for this bad daddy?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It is 15.5K first place, 7.8 for second.
That's pretty solid.
3.1 for third. Fourth is 1.3, and then fifth through eighth is $900.
All right. Wow, that's a pretty meaty
Probably
tournament.
keep Charlie around.
Yeah, seriously. So, all right, something else to keep an eye on here. We've got more tournament stuff coming up. Star Ladder, the big kind of breakout. Breakout isn't the right word. But the prize pool following the bundle. The bundle is the key word here, I guess. That's what they're coining it now. The Star Ladder bundle. Same as MLG. You buy it, you get some perks, you get a Weaver set and whatnot, and you also get to contribute to the prize pool. It was a $50,000 base, and it is now over that six-figure mark. I think it's 106K right now, something like that, 106.5. This must be the new model. We talked about it with MLG. I was a little bit skeptical that, maybe this is cool, going to be short-lived. Everyone's excited about it now, but are people going to keep buying bundles? And so far, so good. It seems like people are still very, very excited about the idea to be able to contribute to prize pools, get some perks, and just overall be involved. It seems that Dota fans across the world are finding it to be a good value, which is the key word there, value. Not the price tag, but are people feeling like they're getting a good return on what they're investing? And seems to be the case. Very exciting to see Star Ladder up past the 100K mark.
I think I think it is going to be a good model for bigger tournaments going forward, but I believe if we actually hit the point where every single tournament, including the little ones, are trying to do this, the smaller ones will be less successful. And I think that eventually you will get I mean, you talk about community splits in other games between like different types of ladders and stuff. I think you would get kind of something like that where certain tournaments would be popular, certain tournaments would get a lot of return, certain tournaments wouldn't. And I don't think you really want to have a tournament just for perception's sake. You don't want to have a tournament that you say, okay, we're going to crowdfund this, and then you barely get anything because nobody buys the ticket, but you have that information public as to what the prize pool is. So you're like, oh, nobody's watching our tournament, and everybody realizes it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a snowball effect. If people see, oh, man, people have contributed like 60 grand to Star Ladder. I should do that too. That's awesome. I'll be part of this big thing. Yeah. But then if you see like, this $5,000 tournament, people have contributed 500, you're like, it must not be a very good tournament. I don't really care.
I think there's definitely some truth to that. It's definitely a strategy that is reserved for bigger ticket tournaments. I think. I think the model starts to break down once your base prize pool gets smaller, and I think for it to be successful, you kind of need to have that brand recognition following your tournament. I mean, Star Ladder, it's on season 8. I think it's pretty well liked in the community in terms of it's a good tournament, flows pretty well, it's pretty fair, the admins aren't corrupt or anything like that. Biggest complaint is that there's always scheduling issues, stuff tends to get delayed, but that's a problem with pretty much every tournament out there. Same with MLG. People were excited about MLG. They liked the way they handled Full Sail. They liked the open communication, the transparency from Adam App, so people felt good about contributing. So I think you're definitely right. In tournaments where people don't have that already, like, I trust these guys, I like these guys, they've kind of proven themselves already, I don't think it will work for that. Hey guys, $5,000 on the line, let's do this thing, woohoo! I don't see that working out. So fair enough, Chris. Charlie, you want to chime in on bundles? Do you have any Charlie sense here?
Some Charlie sense?
Grasping at straws here. I don't know. I was trying to make some cute little phrase about your intelligence and your name, and it didn't work. Sorry. Some jokes backfire. What can I say?
No, I'm on the same page as you. Like, I think this is pretty much just a big ticket thing. Like, I'm not sure it was ever really meant for small tournaments. And even then, like, I mean, small tournaments never really get the hype. It's more of for like a lesser known team thing, like a community building thing, rather than oh my god, let's get these guys a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. So, still on the tune of tournaments here, there's one last tournament we're going to talk about a little. We're actually going to have a guest coming on in just a minute here to talk about this particular tournament. It is a LAN coming up on December 7th in Florida, Ormond Beach. I think it's in northeast Florida. I can't picture the compass rose in my head. The Arena Landfest, there is Dota 2 there. It's not a Dota 2 exclusive. And I'm going to see if I can get this guy in here. I'm going to try to bring him into the call, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this tournament here for the next couple minutes. Always exciting to support the smaller lands around the globe, around the states as it may be. And Florida's a pretty cool place. Hello, sir. Are you with us?
How's it going?
Good. It's going great, my friend. Thank you for being here. So we have Corey Helms on the line. Are you the lead guy for the Arena Landfest?
Community manager kind of thing.
Okay.
Just managing the event and getting all the teams organized.
All right. Very cool. So talk to us about the event a little bit. What's it all about? What kind of games are going to be there? How long have you been doing it? Give us kind of the rundown for those of us who may have not heard of the Florida Arena Landfest.
It all started, I did the only pub stomp in Florida, and I think I had 2 weeks to advertise it. We ended up having about 70 people show up throughout the 4 days.
It's pretty solid.
And the LAN Center was like, hey, do you want to do an event in the winter and have Dota 2 on the main stage, and we'll try and get some funding for it. And this is where it's come. An amateur tournament, $1,000 first prize, and it's reached this point. So we're just trying to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, awesome. So how many teams do you guys have registered right now?
We have 8 confirmed, and there's 4 that are still on the fence. They're trying to find players, and I'm trying to find them players.
All right.
To fill their slots.
Are there any big names? Any? I don't know of any pro players that live in Florida off the top of my head, but anybody to keep an eye out for?
No, not really. There were some things in the works before, but plans fell through, and everything's better now than they were before, even though things kind of were rocky for a while. But no big names. It's mainly just amateur teams from around Florida that compete in like Gatorland, if you've heard of that they do 3 times a year, I think.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Okay, cool. So is there going to be a stream for this? I'm assuming there isn't a ticket in the client, but are you guys going to... I'm assuming you're going to have casters and have everything streamed up and all that good stuff?
Yeah, we have... I don't know if anybody knows Dark Jester. I think he was at Columbus.
Yeah, I talked to him in the VIP pit for a while.
Yeah, he's coming down, and we're going to set him up with the room there. The venue is kind of weird. It's an old office building, and we have all these areas that we can kind of set people up in. The teams are actually going to have private rooms. Casters are going to have rooms. There's going to be a relative amount of, you'll have quiet, and you'll be able to play and communicate with your team without everything kind of being there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we'll keep this pretty short because we do have a lot of other content to get to here, and we are on the clock today. But what are some of the biggest issues you faced trying to organize a more community-driven event like this? Was it really difficult to line up a $1,000 prize pool for a Dota tournament, or did that kind of come along because the folks involved saw the huge response of Dota fans? What's been the toughest part for you guys getting this event going?
Getting sponsors and figuring out things. Trying to get contacts with different organizations. We actually had one come through yesterday, and we need to sign a contract with them, but it's probably not going to come in until after the event. So we have to cover some things. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, just sponsors and all that stuff has been pretty difficult.
Yeah,
because of the short amount of time that we had to plan this.
Well, my friend, you're not alone. Many a tournament have issues with sponsors across the spectrum, so that's an issue you'll deal with, even if you are a larger player. But awesome. Glad to see community events popping up. Always happy to see anything in North America that has money and Dota 2 attached to it. And maybe if you guys keep growing, you can get some of the bigger teams to come on down and fight it out for some of that Dota cash. So any shout-outs here? Is there a website people can go to keep tabs on the event? Maybe there's someone in Florida listening right now who may be interested. Is there a go-to location? Is it just the festival.lanarena.net that I've been showing? Is that the best place to go?
Yeah, festival.arena-lan.net. I know it's weird. There's the Facebook event, which is Arena Landfest. Everything is listed on Liquipedia under Arena Landfest.
Okay.
So if you can go on Liquipedia, everything is listed there in the top right box.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So I think that about does it for us. I have your Twitter up here at Replay Content, so make sure you guys check him out on Twitter. I'm sure he'll be tweeting about the event. It's coming up December 7th, starts at 7 a.m., again in northeastern Florida. Make sure you guys check it. I did drop the link in chat. So thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Hope the event goes well for you.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, you got it. All right. So, guys, that's going to wrap up the first part of this episode here, and we're going to move into part 2 coming up momentarily. Going to take a very short break today. We're going to talk a little bit of drama, going to talk some analysis, and we're going to bring Jess Brohard on to talk about everything that she's doing here in the competitive scene. So, we'll be back, guys. Dota Radio Morning Show, episode 17 continues on. See you in a minute.